Yo, what's going on, guys? My name is Juan, and welcome back to my channel. Today, we'll be talking about the topic of failure. But before we get into it, I just want to let you guys know that I am a very blunt type of speaker. Therefore, if I say anything that might offend you or sound triggering, please let me know because that's the last thing I want to do. Failure is truly one of our best teachers. Nowadays, though, not a lot of people are willing to learn. The idea of messing up, looking stupid, or having people judge you secretly behind your back is paralyzing. Most of the time, though, we never fail because we're afraid to. The fear of failure does more damage than failure itself will ever do. Failure is survivable, embarrassment is temporary, and mistakes are fixable. But letting your own fear talk you out of even trying, dude, that shit takes years off of your life. The point I'm trying to make here is that failure was never the enemy. Fear is. We've been taught as a society to avoid failure like it's a disease. But in reality, each failure is just one step closer to success. It's not falling that ruins you, it's not getting back up that does. And all you really need is that one breakthrough, and you're up from there. Thomas Edison once said, "I haven't failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that don't work." He then went on to create the light bulb. And since we're on the topic of historical names, let's explore two more. J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter series, was denied by about 12 publishers before one decided to give her a shot. Michael Jordan, arguably one of the best basketball players to ever walk the planet, was cut from his high school varsity team because his coach deemed him not skilled enough. These people are remembered not because they failed, but because they decided to keep on going anyways. They used failure as fuel to further ignite their passion, and it got them to where they are now. Failure only sucks if you let it define you. Instead, let it refine you. The cost of failure is temporary discomfort, while the cost of never trying, that's forever regret. Yeah, you can recover from a broken plan, but how do you recover from never trying? So what if you messed up? Or so what if your plan flopped? At least you showed up. And showing up alone puts you ahead of 99% of people already. Not that it matters, but it's a fact. And I know, we've all had some type of fear when it comes to failure. I used to have a fear of going up to girls and talking to them because I feared rejection. Until about 1 to 2 months ago, I finally decided to confront it. The first time, my boys and we were just leaving Target and we were in the parking lot. Right before we left, these two girls pulled up right next to us. They rolled down their window and they asked for my boy's Instagram. I noticed that the girl in the passenger seat was also very pretty. So I was about to pussy out. I was about to make an excuse and say, "Oh, I'm in the back seat. She might not hear me." Instead, I decided to confront it, and I literally asked, I asked out loud, "Yo, can I get your friend's Instagram?" And instead of acknowledging me or even saying no, they literally just rolled up their window and they drove off. The second time, my boys and I were at the gym getting a quick leg workout in, and I saw a really pretty girl at one of the leg machines. Knowing how nervous I was, I decided to go up to her anyway, and I said, "Hey, I ain't trying to disturb, but I just wanted to say I thought you were really pretty." And she took off her headphones and she said, "Oh, thank you, I appreciate that." And then I said, "Yeah, do you have a boyfriend?" And she said, "Yeah, I do." And then I said, "Oh, okay, take it as a compliment, have a good day." And she said, "You too." And that was it. It was perfectly fine. There was no awkwardness. I just kept it straightforward. And then we went back to doing our thing. And quick disclaimer, I wasn't just going up to these girls for practice. I genuinely thought they were pretty and I wanted to get to know them. The third time, my boys and I were at a coffee shop and a really pretty girl came and sat across the table we were sitting at. The plan was I was going to ask her out as we were leaving, but there were a good amount of people in the coffee shop and I felt nervous because I didn't want to get judged. So we left and we walked back to the car. Right before I drove off, I literally turned off the car and I said, "Yo, I'll be back. I'm gonna go try and get that girl's Instagram." So I walked back in the coffee shop. I went up to her and I said the same thing that I said to the girl in the gym. "Hey, I ain't trying to disturb. I thought you were really pretty." She said, "Oh, thank you." I said, "Do you have a boyfriend?" And she said, "Yeah, I do." And the original script that I had planned in my head was as soon as she said, "Yeah, I have a boyfriend," I was going to say, "Oh, okay, well, take it as a compliment and have a good day." But then she asked me how old I was. And I was already nervous. So when she asked me how old I was, my brain shut off because that wasn't part of the script that I had kind of written down in my head. And that's a good thing, which I'll get to. But as my brain shut off, I kind of just started being on autopilot. So I gave her my age and then I asked for hers. And then, I was like freaking out. My body was in panic mode. So I literally like put my hand out and I was like, I'm Juan. What's your name? And then she gave me her name. I was still on autopilot, freaking out. Like you could visibly see my lip was quivering back and forth. And then I was like, do you think I could get your Instagram? And then she said no. And I said, oh, okay. Well, have a good day and take care. And then I walked out. It was definitely messy. There's no doubt about it. But at least I tried. And in all honesty, it wasn't even that bad. And like I said, my brain shut off because what she said was completely off script. And it's good because it helped me realize that not everything is going to go the way in which we anticipate it to. And that's another reason why you should go out there and just try, because you may not fail, you may fail, but it's never going to go the way that you think it will. It's more than likely going to be better than the way you think it was going to go. Where I'm trying to go with these examples is if you wait for the perfect conditions, like I really could have said, oh, there's too much people, I'll wait until, I'll see a girl who's kind of like just by herself or maybe with her friends, so it's not that awkward. If you wait for those perfect conditions, you're never going to start, because in reality, starting is the perfect condition. Here's something that nobody tells you. It's the fact that fear has a very clever way of disguising itself. You'll hear people say all the time, oh, I'm still thinking about it. Maybe I'll wait till things settle down first, or maybe it's just not my thing. Don't get me wrong. Yes, it's very wise to pause sometimes, but doing it all the time, that's just your fear disguised as planning. We dress our fear up in costumes so we don't have to face it directly. But deep down, we know that we can survive the fall. What we fear though, what we what we fear though are the witnesses. And guess what? That's not danger. That's your ego. So shut it off. I titled this video Failure is Awesome for a reason. And it's because I feel that lots of us are viewing failure from the wrong perspective. Lots of us view failure as the end when it's really the beginning of your evolution. Or what if failure isn't the obstacle, but it's the process instead? My good friend left a comment on my first video that said, the only way out is in. And it speaks a lot of volume in the context of failure. Think about it. Every skill, every success, and every breakthrough are built on a foundation of screw-ups. You learn from losing, and you grow by getting it wrong. Winston Churchill once said, success is simply moving from failure to failure without losing your enthusiasm. Here's an example. When I was in middle school, I really wanted to join a Taekwondo class after watching The Karate Kid. And I was nervous because I was afraid that I was gonna suck at first, which is inevitable, but I decided to do it anyways. And yeah, I fell many times, I flopped, I got embarrassed, I had people laughing at me. During sparring, I would get my ass whooped so bad sometimes to the point where I started to cry. One time, during a sparring practice with a kid when I was about 14, he dislocated my left knee, and I couldn't even stand up, and I was out for about 1 to 2 months. I was broken, both physically and mentally, but I didn't let it stop me. I decided to keep going, and about 8 months later, I ended up getting my black belt. People don't tell you this, but failure is the cost of admission for success. And if you think that the price of success is too high, wait till you get the bill from regret. I want you to imagine two versions of you. One that fails 5 times and learns, and one that waits 5 years, never learns, and constantly wonders what if. Who ends up further? The first one might fail faster, but they're also learning faster. They've got momentum, scars, and data. And the second version, they might be more comfortable, but that comfort can quickly turn into a cage. Here's another perspective. Think of success as food and failure as the ingredients. You can't cook without ingredients, right? Or here's another one. At one point, we were all babies just learning to walk. And we didn't fail at walking. We just kept falling until one day we didn't. And yes, we're still wobbling, we're still learning, and we're still becoming. And as you're becoming, I encourage you to view the world with a new mindset. And it's to not fear failure, But instead, fear not trying. You're supposed to suck at first. It's supposed to be awkward and confusing and embarrassing. Don't view it as failure. Instead, view it as phase one. Stop judging your process by how smooth it looks. Instead, ask yourself, am I showing up? Am I learning? And if the answer is yes, guess what? You're not failing, you're evolving. So give yourself permission to start, fail, mess up, look silly, be cringe, be bold, and be bad until you're eventually not. Because one day you will shine and someone will come along and say, wow, you're so good at that. And guess what? They'll never know what you went through to get to that point, but you will. And that's where the beauty resides. You know that there is another side that is far more beautiful than where you are right now. But are you willing to pay the price? Or are you just going to remain where you are forever? Thank you guys for your time. I'll see you soon.